the more healed you get and the more of the little stuff that I let out, like just the muscle memories,
Yeah.
now the big, terrible
Yeah.
ones are coming, which I've grown my capacity to allow that to have that. Because had the big one that happened a couple months ago happened in the beginning, I would have just broken. I was able to let it go because you're teaching us about what is going to come up and how to feel it. And then you teach us how to deal with it and process it. Had I not had that, I seriously would have checked myself in and gone, I can't handle this. This is too much. I can't go through this. And then I immediately got on your course and I was like, is this okay? Did I do this? And then someone else got on there and said, yes, this is the other resources you can do. This is what you can go with. You're fine. Do this. And I was like, okay, I got this.
Hey everyone, Irene here. I have got an interview for you today. As you saw just a second ago, that is a tiny clip from my talk with my online student, Hosannah. She has been working through my online programs for the last few years and has had incredible results. And I will say this, her story is intense. It is a story of surviving long-standing sexual abuse at the hands of her stepfather. And it is one of those stories that you wish didn't happen, but they do. And so in honor of not only her, but all of those who are in the midst of healing these sorts of traumas. And to be honest, there might be a lot of people out there who are not even aware that this occurs, or that maybe it occurred to them. I'm putting this out there to just talk the truth and also showcase that it is possible to heal from intense, long-standing abuse, especially sexual abuse. And we can do it by becoming our own medicine and by really learning how to work with our physiology and understanding what the system wanted to do but couldn't throughout the times we were abused. I commend her for her bravery and courage in walking this path and being here to tell the tale and give hope to others who are maybe just uncovering this level of trauma in their system. Or maybe for those of you who work with people, this might give you a little insight into some of the elements that are so important to be aware of when working with survivors of sexual abuse. Of course, this video is for not just women, it's for men. Men are also abused at this level. I want to honor that and mention that. And one last thing, if you need to in any way pause, sense, feel, take a break from what you're hearing and watching, that's totally fine. We don't go into graphic detail of what occurred to her, but some of the instances of her healing and the movements and the actions that she never got to do throughout her long-standing abuse, those are talked about. There are some tears, there's a lot of laughs, and I'm just so glad that my students are willing and open to talk about these healing journeys. So without further ado, enjoy this conversation with my student, Hosannah. Hello, how you doing, Hosannah?
I am pretty darn good today. How are you?
I am okay.
Good.
We have never met until 5 minutes ago.
Yes, ma'am.
But you have offered my team and I some awesome testimony via a little phone, probably video.
Yes.
For Smart Body, Smart Mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And I wanted to have you on to just talk about your story, your journey, really your healing through Smart Body, Smart Mind. And I know there's lots to your story.
It's a little weird one.
But, at the end of the day, this is a story about thriving more than just surviving.
Yes.
Early abuse throughout your childhood and teenagehood, from what I know, and into your 20s, I think even.
Yep.
And so please give everyone an introduction to who you are, what you do, and how you stumbled onto this work of Smart Body, Smart Mind, and all the nervous system work you've done.
You betcha. My name is Hosannah, and I am from the Pacific Northwest. I'll be 48 this year. And I found you when I was 45 by accident. I was, so I'll give you the backup. So I was sexually abused from age 1 to 21 by the man that I thought was my father until I turned 17. And then I found out that he wasn't my biological father, which was a whole weird twist on that. So I was able to get away from him at 21 and just kind of survive. It was difficult. I married my high school sweetheart, and he's been amazing and given me some safety. I have 2 kids. They're now adults. They're 19 and 21 boys. They're amazing. And so for the first 20 years of my life, I look at it like this. So for the first 20 years of my life, I was under someone else's choices, because everybody has free will, and the person that was supposed to take care of me chose his free will poorly. So then the next 20 years of my life, I was trying to figure out how to survive that abuse. And basically how I survived it is I look at it as a kind of like a white box inside my heart, and it has a nice little white bow on it, and inside is a whole bunch of sludge and goo and tar that's I'm smushing down. So once I was able to get away from him for 20 years, while I had my son and my family, and I knew what happened, but I just kind of shut down and just said, okay, I'm going to be a mom. I'm just going to give everything I can to my mom and to being a mom and to my husband, and just go for it.
Oh.
So I just smushed that down. And I tied it tighter, and I was surviving. I wasn't surviving, but I was surviving enough. And then kind of the turning point was when my kids turned 17 and 19. I homeschooled them, and they both got their GED, and they kind of were at the point where they didn't need me as much. And I was like, okay, I need to find some healing, because I can't keep this. It was starting to bubble out. I kind of I'm very visual, so I could see that the box was lifting, the ooze is seeping out the sides and kind of all over the top of the bow, and it wasn't pretty white anymore, and I just couldn't hold it anymore. And it was getting to the point where I would I've had night terrors my whole life.
Yeah.
So bad to the point where I would sleep 2 hours, have the night terrors, wake up screaming, and then have to get up, go pee, reset myself, come back, and then go back to sleep. I go back to sleep, and then an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, same thing. So I would wake up exhausted, stressed, and I would live in that, what happened to me as a child, because he's a pedophile, and he would prey on me as a child at night. So then I would wake up, and my body would feel as if I just got what happened to me. Yeah. So I didn't know how to deal with that. So in that whole process, I have trust issues. So I didn't feel comfortable talk therapy, because the pedophile liked to talk about detailed things and made it kind of perverted. So, and then I also didn't want to talk about it because it's painful and it hurts. So I was just going to deal with it on my own. I'm a Gen Xer, so nobody can tell me what to do. I'm going to do it the best. So I did everything. I got crystals, and I would sleep with crystals. I had to put crystals on me. I would do aromatherapy. I would do essential oils. I would run. I did yoga. I did chakras. I took baths. I would hike. And it would, like after the night terrors, I would go for a run on the treadmill, and I would try to run so fast and so hard that my body would hurt more than the PTSD pain. Obviously it didn't work, but I would be crying, and I would just be like trying to make myself, basically didn't know how to do it. I read all the books, Body Keeps a Score, all the stuff. So it was I'll circle back to, so at about age 45, both my boys, I felt like, okay, I got them where they're in a good, stable place. And it started getting so bad that I started having like twitches and tics, and I would like inadvertently like squeeze my hands, and I noticed, I was like, okay, that's not normal. That's not good. And then I started having more suicidal thoughts. And there's 2 things that I'm going to say about that. So one, I always felt shame and didn't want to say it because I know I used to work insurance, and I know that you get labeled as you're dangerous, and if you can't say that you are hurting enough, because then people are going to overreact. So I always kept it in and didn't say anything. And then it got to the point where the thoughts were constant. Instead of normally I could be like, okay, just going to sleep the night. If I still feel this bad in the morning, I'll take care of it in the morning type deal, just to get me through the night. And in the morning, I'm like, okay, I can survive this. It's morning. I can breathe. And then it got to the point where the best way that I could describe it, because I did open up and tell my husband, I'm like, hey, I'm not doing good. I'm going to need some help. I've never done drugs or alcohol. I was very adamant to not take any prescription drugs, not even marijuana, which I'm in Oregon. We're the queen of marijuana, but I researched it. I looked into all of it, and it just wasn't for me, because to me, it was kind of like a cheat code. It wasn't going to fix it. It was just going to mask it. And then I knew it was there in case I got really bad. I knew it, but I wanted to just kind of like, I call it, I like my suffering raw. Just going to do it. I'm just going to bear through it. Anyway, so the best way to describe the suicidal thoughts is it's equivalent to swimming, being out in the middle of the ocean at night, or a cold ocean, 24 hours, and it's stormy, and the waves are crashing over you, and you've been treading water and you can't do it anymore, and your head is just above water, and it's cold and it's heavy, and you keep swallowing water, and you don't know how long you can survive. You're tired, you can't breathe, your lungs are burning, your body's burning, and you seriously don't know. It's not that I wanted to end my life. I have a great life, but I didn't know how long I could handle this burning. And I decided I never would take action, because with my boys, I believe suicide doesn't end the pain, it just transfers it.
Yeah.
And I never would do that to my sons. I never wanted that to be their story. And then something that they would have to deal with. I was like, there's no way I'm going to put that trauma on my kids. So I just decided that I was just going to deal with it. I will burn 1,000 years with the pain that I have and just suffer through to make sure my kids never suffered and had any trauma they had to deal with. So I pretty much just said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And then when it got really bad, I would tell my husband, and then I would just try to cope. So that's basically how I was living my life. And then I, of course, doing a bunch of research. Yeah. Oh. What?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Or maybe two. First of all, I'm going to just say this one thing. You're a good mom.
Thank you. I put my everything into it, because I didn't have that. My mom was very weak. And when my babies were born, they're 26 and 28. I have a superpower that I can feel people's emotions, their sense where they're at, because of the trauma with the pedophile, because I had to know what mood he was in, and quickly I had to navigate, and I had to be either pleasing or strong or this, just to not get worse hurt. So, side note, when my babies were born, I instantly knew exactly what they needed. I slept with them. I co-slept. And I loved them. And it wasn't like a needy, hangy love. It was just, dude, I got you. I'm here for you. The love that I didn't get.
Yeah.
So
I feel that, and I mean, also Gen Xer here, so I totally get the raw. I'm gonna just
I like my suffering raw. Let's go.
So you're in good company with that element. I also feel that you're right, knowing that this will pass on if you don't work with it.
Yeah.
Also, right?
Yeah.
The fact that you homeschooled your children before it was cool and en vogue is also fascinating to me. That might be a whole other story to go into.
Yeah, there's a lot in my life that I didn't know wasn't normal, because I didn't have a before. And incidentally, I didn't recognize that until I was watching one of your videos, and you had interviewed a blonde lady that was sexually abused or harassed I don't know what it was, but it was something that happened in her 20s. And she had made a comment and she said, yeah, I understand because, or you said, I had a before, so I know I could get some of the happiness. It'll be different, but a before. And I was like, a before? What's a before?
Right.
Everything that I felt, I didn't know wasn't normal. I thought it was just normal. I thought everybody lived this constant just pain and just barely surviving.
Fear.
I didn't even have a concept. And of course, because I didn't talk about the bad stuff, couldn't say, hey, someone at the grocery store, hey, is this normal to be feeling this bad all the time? There was no concept.
Yeah.
Again, just
yeah. And for those listening who are either new here or maybe you've been around for a while with my work, when one is raped and abused from an infant, age 1 to, into the adulthood, that's all the traumas. It's early trauma, it's developmental trauma, it's shock trauma. I know that one of my mentors, Peter Levine, would say this is spiritual soul trauma.
It's pretty intense because the worst part of it is because I thought that he was my dad. Yeah. And I loved him more than anything. So, and what was not interesting, but when he would come in to abuse me, he had brown eyes. And when he would abuse me, they turned black. And of course I would be, okay, here it comes. And I told my husband, I said, I would have so much, but I would have rather have been an uncle or I was kidnapped or something. So then I could go to my dad. I could go and say, hey. Then on top of it, I had to suffer silently because, of course, I was groomed. Don't tell your mom. Your mom's going to leave. Your mom's going to cry. It's the end of the family. All this stuff since the time you're like 2. So I learned I will take it on. I will take everything. I will protect my mom and not tell my mom. I have 3 siblings. I'm the oldest of 4. I will take it so he doesn't go to them, which I just thought that was normal. But he said, as an excuse to someone down the road, oh, well, it was okay because she wasn't my blood. I would never touch blood. So he's that kind of, anyway, that's a whole nother realm.
I see. So your siblings are step siblings, is that correct?
Yes, which I didn't know until I was 17, but yes. So apparently in his mind, so he was grooming me kind of like how Woody, the Woody guy that married his adopted Asian daughter.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, he was an actor. Anyway, so he groomed him.
Woody Allen.
Yes. So the pedophile was grooming me he assumed that when I turned 18, I was going to be like, yes, let's run away together. And luckily, by the grace of God, I was a spicy little girl. And at 10 years old, I started saying, daddies don't do this. I know that daddies don't do this. And I think it caught him off guard, so he had to be careful. Yeah. So I don't know why I was so spicy to just be like strong. And then when he would say those type of things, I'd be like, that's really stupid. That's weird. I won't say what he would say, but he would be testing me and what he could get away with. And I'd be like, that's the stupidest thing ever. Why would someone marry their dad? Yeah. So in a way I was protected, even though he was evil and using his free will. I feel like because I don't know why, but God was there. He did give me the grace to be spicy. So that's a side note.
Good job. So I mean, and it sounds like your husband knew that this was occurring.
So what's amazing, again, and this is where I look back and I go, the horrible things that happened to me, God he couldn't prevent the pedophile from doing what he's doing because we have free will, but he loved me. And at 14, my husband and I went to a private school. I was homeschooled until I was in 8th grade, which basically my mom's homeschool was the hippie homeschool where she did nothing and just kept me at home. So I didn't learn to read until I was in 8th grade. So that's where I met my husband. Then just a guy. And then at 15, we started dating. So I got to marry my high school sweetheart. He was the first male that I didn't feel was attracted just to me. Like he actually really liked me because I blossomed very curvy at age 12, which was not my best interest.
It happens.
But yes, so he was very sweet and amazing. And he was the first one after about a year of getting to, I mean, very innocent dating, like, hi, I like you. Do you like me? Like very, yeah. So I started confiding and I was like, hey, you know, dads do this. Is this normal? And he would be like, no, that's dumb. And luckily he was very spicy. So, and very headstrong. So at 15, he went toe to toe with his pedophile and says, don't you talk to her like, just with the little bits I told him, don't you talk to her like this. Don't you? And that was the point where he started backing off the really bad stuff at about 15 because he knew I was confiding. You know, again, now make sure you don't tell your boyfriend everything and make sure you don't tell your friends everything. And I was like, what are you talking about? Anyway, so yes, I am very blessed and he has been absolutely essential because he has been the first safe space where I could open up. I still don't tell him everything because I don't want him to be sad, but I do tell him the most. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to ask because I could tell there might be folks wondering, like you mentioned, you kept this all in for so long.
Yes. And a lot of it was
one confidant.
Yes, to a degree. I still didn't tell him because I don't know why. I didn't want to bother him. I wasn't fully wanting to admit everything to myself. So I just kept it all in. Nope, it didn't happen. I'm not gonna type deal. Until it started getting to the point where I was having tics, acupuncture, nothing was working. And then again, I'll circle back. So at age 45, when the suicidal thoughts started getting worse and more often, there was basically no cure for the night terrors and the tics started happening. And I felt like my kids were at a stage where I could do some form of something. I started doing heavy research. And at that time, that was the whole vagus nerve craze. Hey, vagus nerve could be the thing. So I was like, okay, let's read about that. So I got books and I started watching YouTube videos. So I got on YouTube and I Googled it. And some guy got up first suggested some guy. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then Irene Lyon was like third down. And I was like, oh, okay. I watched all of them. And then I watched yours. And I was like, I really resonated with your presence. You weren't egotistical about it. You were just matter of fact. You were very you knew your stuff. I could just tell you're very sure of yourself. You were just, hey, this is what it is. This is how I can help you. And I was like, wow. So then I watched all your videos. I watched everything. And then I was like, wow, this is making a lot of sense. It was interesting to me. And then you had a recommended book. So I don't know where it was, but it was something about the book. So I was like, okay, I'll get all the books and I can learn it myself. As a kid, I love you and have so much respect, but I had trust issues. So I got the Peter Levine book, the Kathy Kane book, and I'm reading them and I'm like, it's coming in, but I'm like, it's not working. I get it, but it's not to the extent. So then you had your 21 day, you started talking about the 21 day right around like a month later. And I was like, okay, well, nothing works, but I'll try it. It's the less expensive. I'll try it. You were having the code for the holidays or something. So I tried it. Yeah. And I went through it. And when I do something, I do it and I push through and I'm like, okay, full board. And after 21 days, I felt the smallest amount of relief because it was only 21 days. And I would practice, I think you did the pendulum where you would feel your feet. Every time I was hiking, you'd feel your feet, you'd see outside, you'd feel your body. You suggested something like you have to feel your body when you have to go pee. Pay attention to me. I was like, oh my God. I did not know that I held in my pee until I was about ready to blow every single time. I was constantly like this. And little things like that. I was like, she knows her stuff. So after the 21-day course, and then you started talking about the SBSM coming in, which I started, I think it was 2024, the end of February, March. And again, I was like, I bet I could just do it myself. So I got more of your books that you recommended and I started reading those and I was like, I could just do it myself. No, because I'm very, I was the one that had to do everything myself and I took charge and I made things happen, even though I just pushed through, which is, I'm sure, some sort of trauma symptom. So I started reading the books and I was like, but it kept nagging at me. I felt like my intuition and God kept saying, no, I think it'll do you some good. I was like, nah, I'll do it. Anyway, finally I was like, okay, I'll listen. I said, and I told my husband, I was like, if it gives me this much pressure and pain and just off of me, I said, then I can survive this. I just need this. Just give me this much. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I said, if I do this and I just get that, it's worth. So I got your course and then I did the whole thing. And how I did the whole thing was I have issues, again, with trust that something's going to happen or say that's going to trigger me. But I knew I needed to get through the whole thing. So how I did your course is I would paint or hike and listen, which I love that it was very audio and visual. So I don't have to read, because on top of it, I have dyslexia. Mm-hmm. So it was hard for me to learn. That was very easy, but I would have to do something to distract myself while I'm listening to make sure you're not going to say anything that's going to be too triggering or too this to make me freak out. And that was the only way I could get through it. So then once I heard that it was okay in my subconscious while I'm painting, I would listen to it again fully and be like, okay, it's kind of like I can watch reruns, but it's really hard for me to watch the whole movie the first time. I have to know that there's not going to be any rape or abuse or kidnap. Then I can get through it. Yeah. Yeah. But then I watch it 25 times. So it'll be the 5th time that I watch your course. Anyway, so yeah. So
I just want, that's cool, because everybody has to find their own way through it.
Yeah.
And we have the curriculum and I lay it out and I do say, and you know this because you showed up for the calls, please go at your own pace. There's even a video or audio that says what going at your own pace means.
Yeah.
And you don't need to do the whole thing, or you can just listen in the background while you do the dishes.
Yeah.
And I say that to everyone with true, sincere, I mean it.
Yeah.
I don't say anything that isn't meant to be said. And so I love your approach, because you found a way to resource yourself, essentially.
Yeah.
While taking it through a first pass.
Yes.
And I know that there's got to be other students, other peers of yours that have done that, but you're the first person, I think, Hosannah, that actually named it and just showcased how you did it.
Yeah. Well, I'm very determined and I will force myself to go through it, even though it's painful. So that's what I was going to do. I was like, I paid for this course. I'm doing this course. I don't care what it takes. I'm doing it. So but that was the only way I could do it. I was like, okay. And I didn't know what it was. That's just how I survive. So, So yes, you were amazing. And I liked how, because I'm a Gen Xer and I'm a pusher through and I'll just do it. I did appreciate that you kept saying it's okay to slow down, you go at your pace. And I was like, but I was so shut down. I wasn't feeling anything yet. Well, the other thing was every time it would come on, with the greatest love and respect, I was like, okay, we're going to listen to this video about the meatballs. And I don't know how this is going to help me. But I was so skeptical because nothing worked. Yeah. But I found it very interesting. It was very fascinating. And I was like, she knows her stuff. So it's the most love and respect. But in the back of my mind, I was like, this isn't going to do anything. This is about beach.
No, I've heard that before. I've definitely.
But I went through it. But I forced myself. I was like, no, you're going to go through this because it's helped people. If it helps you a little bit, just shut up and do it. So I did it. And the first peak was, so I did all the listening and I learned about everything, which was fascinating. Really helped me because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know. Now I can identify things when stuff starts to come on, especially now the 5th time I can go, oh, I see what's happening. Oh, I sense that. It's amazing. But it took me a few runs to go through it. The first time that I felt something was, I think it's number 3, but it was joints.
Yes.
So I did the joints exercise And it's where you talk me through, and I started feeling my wrist, and then I was feeling my elbow, and I was just calm, and I was just feeling it and going, giving it the respect and going through it, going, okay, but nothing's happening. And then we went somewhere where it was to my shoulder, and all of a sudden, snap. And it was, I felt him pressing me down. I felt his hand on my neck. And I said, what is this? Because a lot of that I blocked out. And I was like, oh, man. So, but prior to that, you led us up to that if something comes up, resources, how to pendulate, how to feel it, and then bring yourself back to the moment and see. So I would, because it was so intense and it was such a strong feeling, I knew how to pendulate between back and forth to feeling it. Okay, I feel it. You got this. It's okay. And then I would have to bring myself back. And then it scared me. So then what I love about your course is then I can ask questions and be like, dude, this is totally freaky. Is this normal? Should I what's going on? Kind of. And then your team got right back to me. Not only do they give you resources, but they tell you how to get through it, to move slower, to do this. I was like, okay, I got this. So that was the first one, was like, but what was amazing is when stuff like that happens and I allow to feel the pain, even if it's just pendulate and it's a little bit, that box of tar, a little bit goes away. It's a little bit easier to hold down. It starts to come out. It has to dissipate. The evil, when his eyes turn black and the evil that got in, it has to leave in order for me to have beauty, because I couldn't see anything beautiful prior because I was just like this, surviving. So once I did that, I was like, okay, I did start pacing myself. I was like, I gave myself, I don't know, a few extra days to just regulate, took a bath. You said, find your resources, do what you need to do. So I did that. I was honoring myself. And then I went right back to it. And the rest of the course was okay. Little things would come up and I would kind of deal with it. And then, again, I don't remember which lesson it was, but it was one where you have us laying on our back and we sense our whole body. And I don't know if it's the one where we move our legs, but I was laying in the bed. Nobody else was around. And I was like, oh, I feel so warm and comfortable. This is the best exercise ever. And then all of a sudden, bam, I have him again on top of me with his my hard pressure on my chest and my neck. And I'm just like, what is going on? I was just so cozy. And then I worked through, I cried, I got up. I actually had to take a bath because the sensory of the bath, the water on me helps me to not be lost in the pain, kind of. So I just kind of, anyway. So, but what I found out later is that when your body feels safe, then the bad stuff can start coming up, which is like a double-edged sword for me, because I was like, oh, I feel so great and at peace. And then bam. But once that came out and I processed that, and sometimes it'll take, a day, a week, a month, depending how bad the memory is. What started happening is I would notice. One was, as I started noticing, I said it in one video, as I was driving, my husband was driving and I was in the passenger seat and we were going to go hiking. And I looked out the window and I noticed the leaves on the tree. I could see we have maple and oak leaves, and I could see the detail. I mean, it's far enough, but I could see the detail. I was like, wait a minute. And then I saw there's little flowers in the grass and I was like, have those always been there? It was so bizarre to me because I was always just shut down, especially driving, because one of the pedophiles used to drive me places and hurt me. But because I started processing the pain, I was starting to allow beauty in. So what was going into the box was beauty as the tar was coming out. So it was mind blowing. I just started crying and I was like, oh my God, Nate, have you seen the trees?
There's leaves.
I know. It's like a little kid getting to experience, because I never got to experience any joy as a little kid because I was always just like this. So it's a double-edged sword where when I have to go through the terrible things, and then at the end I was like, oh, another example would be, this is one of the most recent ones. And it almost seems like the more healed you get and the more of the little stuff that I let out, like just the muscle memories, now the big, terrible ones are coming, which I've grown my capacity to allow that, to have that. Because had the big one that happened a couple months ago happened in the beginning, I would have just broken. So that was another fear of mine of ever digging this up, is because I have a friend, a close friend, who had a terrible memory of being sexually abused, and they went manic. They had to go in the mental ward, and they're better now and they're on the right medication. But because I saw that, I knew that if I remembered anything terrible, I would shift, I would split, because it's just too much to handle. So I was always very worried about that.
And you know what? That was very smart of you to have that in the back of your mind, or maybe in the forefront. Before you go to the next story, just to unpack this for those who are so new to this and are like, oh, you were safe and then you weren't. So to go back to that image where you're in your bed all cozy, you were safe. Like,
yes,
you have good family, good husband,
yes,
amazing sons, it sounds like. So you know that you're safe, but it's the cellular safety that you had been building through the course.
Yes.
That let you feel your body maybe for one of the first times in such a nice, gooey, yummy way.
Yes. Yes.
And this is the safety that is like the holy grail of trauma work, because people will say, and I know you know this, but I'm telling this for everyone listening, you got to get safety on board and then you heal.
Yes.
This is not a one street linear thing. You grow a bit of capacity through the things that you were talking about, the lessons, the joint.
Yeah.
And then when the box gets cleaner, bigger, as you said, it then allows the harder stuff to come up.
Yes.
When we titrate the healing this way, and I'm not going to say this is not foolproof, but it makes it less likely that one does have a psychotic break.
Yes. Yes.
Because
100%.
You have resource and you can use your mind in the way that it can be used so that you don't either split or dissociate. And as you know, I was just talking about, it's an intense show, but did you ever watch United States of Tara with Toni Collette?
I haven't. I've heard you mention it. I was going to check it out.
So she's, little spoiler, she had abuse. And it's a great show, and it all goes into her multiple personalities, her alters.
Yeah.
And she plays one human, but like 5 or 6 different alters, and her acting is just incredible.
Oh, fabulous.
But it definitely is this like element of when we can't really feel our somatic self and know what's going on. This is why it's not enough to just get body work done.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Can I build on that really quick?
Please,
so one of the best thing is that's what helped me to not split, so what happened in the past, when a memory would start to surface, I'd be, oh, hell no, we cannot do that. So then when I started going through your course, I think it was the second time. One example was I was getting ready to lift weights. I was on the bench and I was pushing the weights up, and it was the flash of me being 6 years old and trying to push him off of me. And it was very distinct, and him on top, and I felt because he would hold down. And I would have dropped the weights and completely freaked out had I not known that push, because I could never finish it. What it was my last set, and I was like this, and I could barely do it. That's how it felt as a little 6-year-old to try to push a big man off of you.
Totally.
So instead of splitting right there, I go, okay, this is my body trying to finish this muscle memory off. So what do I do? So I sat up, I dropped it. One of the best things I do is my husband was lifting with me. We were at home, and I said, okay, don't say anything, but I'm going to say this. I had to purge the memory. And then I had to sit there and I did your resources of containment. I would hold my, I like to hold my arms and just breathe through. And I would just cry. And I would say, it's okay. You're safe now. You're 45 years old. You're not 6 years old. You got this. And I was able to let it go because you're teaching us about what is going to come up and how to feel it. And then you teach us how to deal with it and process it. Had I not had that, I seriously would have checked myself in and gone, I can't handle this. This is too much. I can't go through this. But because you did that, I mean, and then I immediately got on your course and I was like, is this okay? Did I do this? And then someone else got on there and said, yes, this is the other resources you can do. This is what you can go with. You're fine. Do this. And I was like, okay, I got this. So again, why your course is amazing. And the only thing that I think will help just about anybody is because of the way that you set it up. Genius, which I never would have figured out, which I thought I could have, but you were genius. You spent your whole life and you created this program in the perfect succession. So like, kudos, man.
Thanks. Yeah, it's put together that way intentionally only because, so in the labs, we call the modules labs, as you know, we get into healthy aggression and anger and all the shame stuff later.
Yes.
Like, right? Lab 7, little dips of it in 6, the training calls, it's not until like the 7th or so training call. And the reason why is because, people say, oh, I got to get my anger out. The pushing you just mentioned, a lot of people might start with that at a retreat or in a session.
Yeah.
But just to give people an idea, what you just mentioned, the pushing of that person off of you, and it doesn't have to be a pedophile. It could be a doctor doing something that you don't want, even though you have to have it done. It could be a dentist. It could be a nurse getting your arm casted and you want to, hit them because it hurts. So the tricep muscle, the one that goes on the back of the arm, like that is a boundary muscle. And so when you do a bench press or a push up, or if you had your hands on mine and I'm like pushing, the activation of that tricep, not only is it activating the tricep, which we want to work our muscles, which you were doing on that day, it can then instigate memories when we couldn't activate those tricep muscles fully.
Yes.
And that's why, to go back to something you said maybe 15 minutes ago, when you were doing the joints, which is in lab 3, it's one of the first touch lessons. If you don't have this joint a little more open and in your awareness, and that activation of the tricep wants to hit, it's like your hands will be paralyzed.
Yes.
So it's so hard for me to talk that out before a person experiences it, but the lessons are structured so that, and this is why it's like, please don't go forward in the lessons until you've really gotten, good or better practiced at these first level lessons.
Yeah. It's not a race, even though
it's not a race. I want to add one more thing and then I want to keep hearing more. You mentioned tics and Tourette's, which we would call Tourette's syndrome. A lot of people think that that's maybe a disease, a defect, a nerve problem. And while the nerves are activating them, and just for those who don't know, it's where there's like little twitches, and it could be anywhere in the body, but it's usually higher up in the eyes, in the head, in the shoulders. As you know, Hosannah, it's incomplete traumatic procedural memory.
Yes.
And so that push that you mentioned, it's like that tic is like a little morsel of that energy trying to get out.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're amazing. Yes. 100%. And I would not have even put those together had I not done the course in the succession that you have it done. And the pushing would have come out too fast. It needed to, that pushing memory, I think, came out my second or third SBS round.
Yes.
I got a lot that I'm taking out, and I'm going slow because I don't want too much to come out too fast. I'm going at the pace where I'm like, okay, I'm good
Yeah,
now. We can do it
that's
again.
great.
Yeah. So no, that's amazing. You're 100% correct. Which is
And
amazing.
well, and I think what you mentioned about the person you knew who did have to get admitted to the psychiatric ward, this stuff happens, and I can't promise that these things,
Well, if it helps
those.
you, he was he just smoked marijuana that was laced with THC.
Oh no.
So
Okay.
what it does is that we learned later that can make a
Yes.
memory a surface before you're ready, which is again why I never did drugs, alcohol, marijuana. I even looked into pot, to sleep or gummies or whatever, and I researched that it can cause, same with mushrooms, it can cause things to come up before you're ready. So
Yes.
because it's trapped in there, and you're like, hey, I just even being hypnotized, because I looked into
Yeah.
that. And I was like, hey, it'll pop it up there because it's in there, but it's going to happen before your body's ready. So it happened before that person was ready, and they didn't have the tools.
Exactly.
So
Would
don't
you
do
say that
pot. Go to Irene's class.
Yeah. Well, and my husband Seth just did a master class
Yeah.
on
So
cannabis,
yeah,
and it's true, like, because it's opening up the sensory pathways in your body. For some people, they might be fine with that, and for
yeah,
others, might be this like road to hell,
yeah,
right? To feel all the
yeah,
things.
yeah.
Have the tics pretty much subsided in your
Yes, it was.
system?
Yes, it was mostly so it would mostly just be like this. I couldn't control, and then when a PTSD memory happens, or a smell, or a it's more like a smell or something I visually will see, I'll kind of be like, it'll be
Mm,
weird, it'll get like this, but I'm like, okay, that's a memory surfacing, and it's almost like it's a muscle memory before it's a
yeah,
memory, which
exactly.
I didn't know that that's what that was. As I'm sitting here over here like
Yeah,
this, and then I'm like,
yeah,
oh, my body is trying to get it out, even because it was pre-verbal, so I don't know how to explain it. And he preyed on me at night when I was like 2, so of course
mhm,
I'm not going to have the memories as much as all the body is just trying to push him off type deal. So yes, the
absolutely.
tics have subsided. I don't have them anymore, other than when a PTSD trigger, it will kind of make my, almost like it rolls, and it's just like, oh.
Yeah,
And then I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then I try to identify and then work through it. But I have the tools now. I'm not afraid of, yes, I'm afraid of the stuff that comes up, but I now know how to go through it. So,
what you just said is really important, actually, because I'll share recently, I've been unpacking old injuries to my arms and wrists and shoulders from sport. So, different history we have.
yeah,
But as that fascia has been releasing around old broken ribs and old casted wrists, shoulders that were never frozen but seized, my little heart is like, it's like, it's
yeah,
like what it's, and it started over 6 years ago. It's not constant. I talk about a story where I'm going over this bridge and I have a panic attack for the first time, and it makes no sense.
yeah,
But it wasn't the bridge and it wasn't driving. It was
yeah,
just this perfect storm of a moment
yeah,
where I felt trapped,
yeah,
and boom, boom, boom.
yeah,
What's interesting is that, I did go to the hospital twice over the course of the last 6 years because my heart was just
yeah,
erratic. I'm like, I got scared,
yeah,
even with all that I know. So I'm going to
yeah,
share
okay,
this with everyone, right? Like, am I going to die? Like,
yeah,
something's not right here. And no matter what I do, resourcing, it's still all over the place. Of course, you go to the hospital, they hook you up. They're like, you're fine.
yeah,
Yes, there's a little bit of an arrhythmia, but we can't do anything about that. And then, of course, within a day, it's completely gone.
yeah,
And just recently, another hit of that came up,
yeah.
because we're getting deeper into these layers of the fascia and the intercostals of the ribs.
That's fascinating.
And it is fascinating. And yet I now am like, oh, there's the fear. And oh, don't go there. It's not
Oh
a
yeah,
repression of the fear.
yeah,
And this is the part that is often really difficult to convey, which is why I'm sharing it with you and everyone here, is that these are things that we have not tracked as a species. Like, this is super new, this level of healing.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so there's no script. There's
Yeah.
no, I mean, maybe somewhere in the ether, these are written on,
The
angel wings.
scrolls.
I
Yeah. The
don't
scrolls in the caves. Yeah.
totally. But it's like, there's something very important to me about that foundation that you talked about so that a person can navigate, and it is sometimes going to still be scary,
Yes. Agreed.
right?
But you have to be
So
brave.
you have to be brave and know that the body does want to heal, as
Yes.
cliche as that is.
Yes.
It doesn't want to be stuck in survival. We're not meant to be abused in the way you were, and so many other millions and millions of humans are.
Yes. It's more
Um,
often than you think, especially the sexual abuse. I don't know. So I own a furniture and decor store, and I also paint, and I will put my paintings in there. And I will randomly have customers that will open up to me about the most horrific things that have happened to them out of the blue.
wow.
And I don't know why. I don't judge anybody. I don't have any judgment on myself. I just is what I am what I am. It is what it is. And I'm very kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's just if they can sense. I don't know what it is. Anyway, they will open up the most horrific things that happen, and I will share a small snippet and say, yes, I went through this, and it is possible to be strong and to heal and to go find Irene. But it's very interesting because it helped me to understand that I'm not the only one. It's more common than you think, but nobody wants to talk about it because it's icky to talk about. It's no fun. It's horrible. Most of the time people feel shame about it. I don't feel any shame because I didn't do anything wrong, but I still feel muddy and icky because it's icky what happened.
It's disgust.
So I
Yeah.
feel like the best thing to do is to share. Yeah, it was so bad that I got suicidal. I didn't do anything about it, but it's okay to feel really bad and go to help. I tell my sons and my nieces and my nephews, you ever are suicidal, call auntie, call your mom. You give me the last call. You talk to somebody. And
Yeah.
I just say, hey, by the way, blah, blah, blah. No big deal. And I don't give them my whole story, but so I want it to be because and I think it's part of the bad guys idea is the more that we're ashamed and quiet about it, instead of saying, hey, look, I was sexually abused as a child. I didn't choose it. It just is what it is. I'm not a victim. I am a warrior and I am a survivor. And look what can happen from this. And I think if you can do that, then it changes the whole perspective. Instead of being ashamed, I don't like talking about it, but I'm going to talk about it anytime anybody asks because it's not something to be ashamed of. And I'm very proud of where I'm at now with you. Thank the Lord. I am the happiest that I've ever been. I am so able to enjoy life and the colors because of what I went through. And I'm a very strong woman that nothing bothers me. Nobody bothers me. Nothing bothers me. I don't feel judged. It's a very freeing life because I walked through hell. I felt the pain. And when you walk through hell and you feel that pain, you realize that nothing matters. If somebody criticizes you or someone doesn't like the way you look, you don't care. You're like, that's great. Have a good day.
Peace out.
So it allows you to have this freedom. So in a way, I'm very blessed because I was able to heal correctly to be the strong woman that I prayed God I would like to be. I didn't know that he was going to make you walk through hell to be a strong woman. I thought he was just going to make me a strong. There you go. You're a strong woman now. I didn't know that he was going to make me have to earn it. Well, I've earned it. So, and the one thing I wanted to say real quick that I really appreciated what you said in one of your, I don't remember if it was a live, but you said one of the key factors with doing this course is you have to not see yourself as the victim.
Yes.
I am technically a victim in the court, of law, if that ever came to that point, technically. But I never have seen myself or will call myself the victim because all that does is let him win. Instead, I am the survivor. I am the warrior that fought through this. I know for a fact that he is such a coward. There's no way he could fight through this kind of pain. I dare you. So it's almost like you have to have this just spicy, he's not going to win. I'm going to get through this and I'm not going to let it define me. And I think if you can see yourself as that and that you got this and you encourage yourself and you empower yourself, then you can get through it. So then when it's really bad and you're dying and you're crying and you're like, come on. And then you get through it and you're like, ah, oh, hell yeah. It's childbirth. I gave birth to both my boys without any pain meds. And each time I was like, oh my God, there's no way, right when you're about ready to push them out, I was like, give me the drugs. Like, sorry, honey, you can't. I was like, oh, okay. So then at the end, I was like, hell yeah. If I can do that, then I can do anything.
Yeah, we're built for that, right?
Hell yeah. Well, and we're built for this. We're built to excel. We're built to heal. We're built to live a good life. It's just, I didn't have the roadmap until I found SBSM. You gave me the roadmap to navigate, because it's honestly, I have a feeling stuff like this is little stuff's going to come up for the rest of my life. I tell my husband, because he doesn't have the same concept, because he didn't have the same past. I look at it as a prosthetic. Can I live? I lost my leg. Can I live a very happy, long, successful life? Absolutely. Do I have to work with putting the prosthetic on, putting on the right lotion, putting on the right? Yeah. Does it mean that I'm handicapped? No, because I can still live the same life anybody else can. So I've chosen to look at it like that instead of poor me. Why did this have to happen? I don't want to live like this, because that just gets me down the road of nothing. So, and I appreciated that was your perspective, is you empower and you encourage people and you're not a victim. You can do this. And there's a lot of courses that I see and a lot of books that don't do that. So hell yeah.
Hell yes. Amen to that. No, what you just said about the victim and not seeing yourself as disabled, that was taught to me quite young, actually. I don't know if I've told you this story through the teachings, but I used to do more physical fitness stuff and Feldenkrais stuff with sports teams. And I had the pleasure of working with the let me get this right. I have a little dyslexia too. The National Wheelchair Basketball Association.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
And it was a small group of athletes, men and women, different ages, different disabilities. Some had car accidents where they had been paralyzed. Others had been born, missing a limb or a defect, cancer that took away a part of their body. And I was so young, and their coach knew of the Feldenkrais method, which was wild because he was quite old. And he brought me in, and afterwards I did a Feldenkrais session with them. I'm like, God, that was tough. He goes, yeah. And he said, can you see who here has accepted their disability and who hasn't? Wow. And I said, aha. It was like this beautiful mentorship moment, even though I hadn't asked him to give me insight. And you can see the anger and the frustration. And I can still actually see one of the gentlemen. It was so clear how angry he was with the world. But he was there because he probably was told by someone, you got to go do something.
Yeah.
You can't just sit in your house and wither away and watch television and that. But it's like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah. And he's not truly going to change unless he wants to be there.
Exactly. And a similar story, Kathy Kane, one of my teachers who you would have heard of, and you got her book, it sounds like, when you work with someone who has had a life-changing injury, you can't think of your life going forward in the way it was before. So when you mentioned the before, that's so interesting to me because, if you were an able-bodied person, I'm talking about like a paralysis, you have memories of what it was like to walk and run.
Yeah.
Grieving that is immense.
Yes.
And then when it comes to the trauma and the nervous system work, I just really want to hit upon this because I want folks to really remember this. When you said there's no before, you're accurate because this happens so early.
Yeah.
But we can rewire it.
Yes.
And the rewiring, again, has to have this slow approach. And you do not know how many comments I see on my channel, Hosannah, where it's like, I don't get it. Everyone's telling me to do this sound and do this containment. And then other people are telling me to just feel everything. And other people are telling me I've got to do this. I'm like, oh, it's so confusing for so many
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Um, for yourself, was there a moment ever when you started? And I think I know the answer where you're like, yeah, I don't think this is going to work
With your course or with just life?
with my course.
Um, well,
It's
there was
kind
a
of
couple.
like this is, and the reason I ask is,
You have you so you do yes, you do have to push through. You have to go through the whole course. You can't just quit after the first. Yeah. So
that's what I was trying. I'm like trying to get an answer out of you.
yes, yes.
It's
So
sort of,
yes, several times. I will be very honest. Yeah, the
thank
first
you.
up until the joints, so the first two, I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn about this and I'm gonna learn about that, and I'm going through it. I'm like, I don't see any results, but okay, I still feel really terrible. I still have IBS. That was another one. I got to have IBS, and I'm still having all the night terrors. Nothing. So, and then even with the joints, when I felt a little bit of pain, I was like, great. So now I'm feeling worse pain. So then
Yes.
I'm like, should I be doing this? Is this too much? And I was like, no, you're going to finish the whole thing through. Stop being a sissy and just do it. So then I would go through. I did the first thing. And then the memory of me laying on the bed and feeling all cozy didn't happen until the end. So it would be
Mhm.
nothing, nothing, a small something, worse pain, nothing, nothing, small something, worse pain. So yeah, no, it's going to go like this. You don't get to yeah, I have people that are very impatient. They'll be like, "Oh, tell
Yeah.
me about the course." I'm like, I send the YouTube videos and they're like, "Oh, is it going to work?" I was like, "Well, you have to do the work. You know, I
Yeah.
exercise, I work out every day, I hike, I'm disciplined. You have to be disciplined. You have just like if you want to gain muscle, you're going to have to lift weights every other day. You have to. I don't envy your job of encouraging people to be disciplined. Being disciplined is a very difficult. That was the one thing I could control. I'm very disciplined. I could do that. I
Mm.
couldn't control what happened to me, but I can control me being disciplined. So, yes, you 100% have to go through it, and you're going to have to go through it several times. And then you're going to have to practice it every single day, every day. Even when I go hiking, my husband and I go hike 7.5 miles around all these trails, and I love it. It's my therapy. The whole time,
Mhm.
especially when I'm hiking up the hard parts, I'm feeling my feet on the ground, and I'm paying attention to I'm orienting where I'm at, paying attention to what I see, what do I smell? Because a lot of times stuff will come up as I move my body, memories and stuff come up. In
Of
fact,
course.
yeah, I'll go back to it'll coincide with one of the memories. We were walking on the top of, in the middle of it, really beautiful spot. And I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. I'm hiking with my husband. It's gorgeous. It was a little bit foggy. And it was indicative of when the pedophile would take me hunting and or fishing and then hurt me.
Mhm.
And I started to have that a little bit of that memory starting to come up, and I would be like, "Oh no, you're not going to ruin this beautiful day." I feel so happy. I feel so good. I'm so hiking. My husband, I feel great. And then this memory started to bubble up, and I was like, "Son of a bitch!" So I said, "Okay, Nate, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to tell you this. Don't say anything, and don't look at me. And I'm just going to purge this memory out." So I purged the memory of him, of me remembering having to be, I was 6 years old and I had to follow him to the location of where he was going to rape me. And, but how I remember it is I remember it as I'm 47 right now. And I remember it as 6 years old. So I'm feeling it, the fear of a 6 year old. I'm
Yeah.
feeling that, but I'm 47 now. So it's so
Yes.
bizarre. And I pendulate between them. So I feel the 6 year old, and then I'm like, no, you're 47, you're strong as hell. You could punch him out right now. No, but I'm
Yes.
6 and I'm being forced to follow him, and you have to be a good girl or you're going to get hurt more, and but I don't want to. So I went through that whole process, and it lasted about an hour. And each step I would cry, and I would tell my husband the memory of me being 6 and what I felt being 6, saying, okay, I'm really scared to follow him because he's going to hurt me. And I feel like I have to be, it's sad, the whole thing.
Mhm.
But at the end of me processing and then pendulating back and forth and orienting and saying, okay, you're 47, your feet are on the ground. You can feel your feet on the ground. I would contain myself. I'd be like, okay, you can feel your arms. You're here. You're strong. Then I would
Mhm.
talk to my younger self and I'd be like, I got you now. I got you. I'm going to protect you now. No one will, but I got you. We're not that little girl anymore. And I processed that. And within an hour, cried a whole bunch, and I could because we were out in the forest and no one was around. And at the end, I was like, oh my goodness, it left. And I had this like, it's almost like this beauty was able to come in and this ickiness left. And I was like, I could breathe deeper. And I was like, oh. And it was such, and I mean, I still feel raw. It feels the equivalent of like being burned. Your whole skin is burned and you're cheese grated. Right. So I walk around and my husband can't hug me. I can't be touched. And I shake, and it's intense. And I still felt that, but this beauty that came in from that tiny memory, young memory coming out was just amazing. And allowing it to be a process of an hour instead of normally that would have set me back like 3 months.
Yes.
So
thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
The thing that really stands out to me as a supplement to what you just shared, in addition to you applying the work, and as you said, you're disciplined and it's very clear, and that has served you immensely to remember the orienting, the containment, the pendulating. These are all the things that have to be integrated.
Yes.
Because you're right, you're not 6 anymore, you're 47, but you'll feel the screams and the cries of a 6-year-old.
So
and I know that because I've had this happen, other instances, but different kinds of abuses. But that's where you have to be raw and in it. But then you got to pull yourself into your adult self.
Yes. But you have to feel it and process it all out. You have to I had to cry as a 16-year-old that I didn't want to follow him to be hurt. I had to allow to cry that way, but then I could also go back and say, you're 47. He's not here. You're safe. Your husband's here. You got this.
Right
You got this. Yeah. So, and I would not have been able to process that had I not had your course. And I would have just either buried it right back and said, nope, we're not dealing with that. You're going to stay down in that little box. Mm-hmm. Instead, the box right now visually is white. There's still stuff in there, but the bow is nice and tidy. It's all the way closed. It's totally white with a white ribbon and bow. There's stuff in there that's still going to have to come out, but it's not being smushed.
So good.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say too, Hosannah, is the fact that you have a husband who will stay with you for that hour.
Yes.
And some people will say, God, that's so long. That's not long.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Right.
No.
But that's where, I'm going to be very blunt. If we are in a relationship and our husband or wife or significant other, whatever you want to call it, cannot be with that, and you're trying to heal this kind of trauma, there will be a problem.
Agreed.
Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yes. And if you can't rely on your husband or spouse or significant other, then find a therapist or a friend. Yeah. You need to have so I explained the same thing to him as I said, when I tell you something, I need you to do your best to not be upset and not cry for me and not be sad for me, or I won't tell you. It's not because I don't love you. It's because I love you and I don't want you to feel the pain. Yeah. So he's very good at the poker face. I can tell that it does bother him immensely because later he'll go off and process on his own.
Of course.
And I understand that. He's talked to me about that. So 100% you need a therapist. You need somebody that you can trust and vent, because part of the healing for me is I had to voice it because I was told to never voice it. And also it gets it out. It identifies it. And then once it's voiced, just kind of purged, then everything can come out and I can process it. So yes, if you don't have someone that is on your side, then you need to find it, because, and I know you have people that you can actually do one-on-ones with. And I even told my husband at one point, I was like, okay, there's some pretty heavy stuff that's coming up. And I said, it's going to be intense for a while. So I'm just going to give you a heads up. If you aren't up for it, no offense, I love you, but I can contact one of Irene's therapists and I can do a one-on-one. And he says, no, I got you, babe. I can handle it. Because he was going through some other stuff right then. I was like, okay, I'll wait till who gets the purge. But hands down, that is definitely essential.
And the other thing I wanted to slip in there is the fact that just so that people really understand what I'm trying to say, if you have a partner who this isn't yours, obviously, who denies, ridicules, or doesn't want to hear it because that's not their stuff, that's your stuff, that will be a problem. So there's a difference between a partner not having the capacity because they don't have the capacity,
Yeah.
but they really empathize and they want you to get better,
Yeah.
versus the partner who shuts you down when you need help.
Yes. And I would say, add on to that, then that is their trauma. And somehow, and I believe this, that somehow you picked them because you're in a trauma loop. So maybe that's part of the trauma loop that you need to let go, and you need to have healthy boundaries for yourself. Because if you don't heal yourself, it's just going to continue. That sludge is coming out. So, yeah.
I wanted to just touch on a couple things before we wrap up, my dear. Is you mentioned IBS, because there might be someone who heard that and they're like, oh, I wonder if she still has it. Because these are the things, the core physiological things that can take longer to change.
Yeah.
How is your overall system, if you don't mind me asking?
Not at all. So I've had IBS before I even knew what IBS was, ever since little. I would get stressed at night, the whole thing. And then it was severely bad. It's bad. And I didn't even associate it to this. I just thought, again, I'm allergic to wheat. No, now I'm allergic to dairy. Now I need to not eat this, and I need to do this, and I need to. So I actually, the last 3 months, have had 0 IBS. And I could have wheat. I could have sandwiches if I wanted. I could have gelato if I wanted, and it was fine. My IBS does come back if it's a bad memory that comes on, and I'm in the middle of processing it, and that depends on how long the memory has to come out and the purging. So it could be, again, an hour. So with that hour one, it didn't really disrupt me. But if it's something longer, it does disrupt me. Like I had the pedophile call and leave a voice message for the first time in 15 years a couple weeks ago. And he was drunk and he was being terrible and all that. So I 0 contact, but it inadvertently flared everything up. And I was like, oh shit, what's wrong with me? Am I going backwards? Am I this? Am I that? So 100% my IBS is completely intertwined with what comes up and what processes. But once it's processed and once it's all the way through and healed, my IBS completely goes away and I'm a normal person, like normal for the first time ever. That was another reason why I wanted to take your course, is I knew with the amount that I was stuffing down, that if I didn't take care of it, I was going to get sick worse down the road. I knew either IBS was, I didn't know what it was, but I just knew the way that I was feeling. You can't live. I was living like this, constantly bracing to be abused. And if I didn't relax that, my body would inadvertently get sick. So I'm on the road to not get sick.
Thanks. I wanted to ask that because this is another part of symptoms changing. Is there's going to be these ups and downs, but the key is that we're moving like a millimeter forward so that it's better and better. And it sounds like your overall gut has healed. But of course, when a stressor, a memory comes in, it makes sense for things to flare. And that does not mean, everyone here, that you're going backwards. It just means we're sensitive beings and we're going to be impacted by things that shouldn't have happened to us.
Well, it's super stressful. So it would be like if you just got in a car accident, you're going to feel nauseous. You got adrenaline rush, you got whatever's going on. It's so I understand that, and I know, so I don't freak out and panic about it. But it's little drops, bits and bits. And one of the last memories or one of the last great successes that happened is so minute but so huge. Is about a month ago, I was standing outside right before I was going to go into my warehouse waiting for my husband to lift furniture to put in a different spot. And I was outside by myself, and I looked over at the trees, and there was a little bit of light touching the tree. And I don't know what pinged, but I felt this immense strength and capability. And I actually stood up taller, rolled my shoulders back, and I was like, wow, I got this. I felt so empowered and strong for the first time in my entire life. I didn't even know that was a feeling that I could have. And I realized that prior to that, I was always felt like my shoulders were hunched and he was constantly going to just get me at any moment. And I had to just like brace for it. Well, whatever happened, just practicing these things will just randomly happen. Practicing pendulating in your course and going through everything just bit by bit, drip by drip, small bits every little day. I was able to roll my shoulders back and feel this immense, just warrior strength. Like I could take on anything. And then my husband came out and we were lifting the thing and I was like, hey, this just happened. What is that? Is that normal or is that weird? He's like, you've never felt that? And I was like, no. And he's like, babe, that is very normal. That's how most people feel. And I was like, wow.
Aw.
But that's just because constant little bits of just practicing your course.
Yeah.
So great.
That was just a few weeks ago, you said? Just a little while ago?
Yeah. Yeah. About a month ago. Yeah.
Great.
I know.
Good work, lady.
I'm excited to do the next SBSM round because I'm like, what could happen? What's next? And I'm just going to focus on the good. The bad, we got to just sludge through. But, oh, man, what could I see and experience new?
I have one final question for you.
Sure.
Tell me about your art that's behind you.
So inadvertently, about 7 years ago, again, this is before I found you, I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I kind of just sketched here and there, but I never painted. And I picked up a small little board and I had some of my kids' acrylic paint and I painted a self-portrait. And it was a strong self-portrait. It was very stern and strong. It was very poorly done, but I didn't care. I didn't judge myself. I just painted it. Yeah. And then one thing led to another because when the PTSD would happen, it would almost be like my body was just out of whack and just kind of shaking. And when I would paint, I paint lines. I paint a lot of like stained glass and I could go very slow and I would breathe in and breathe out and then drive very slow and it would center me. So inadvertently, I was probably doing amazing things that you teach in your course. I was orienting, I was going slow, I was breathing. It would take me out of the PTSD. And then I started painting a lot of really strong women because I was not allowed to talk about what happened to me. So a lot of strong women holding guns and they're tough and they're fierce and they got their cowboy hat. Just not judging myself, not doing it for any reason. Yeah. And then one thing led to another. A customer, inadvertently, I have an art studio my husband built because he loves me. And someone saw it. They're like, oh, man, your paintings are amazing. Do you want to sell them? I was like, no. It's just my therapy. What are you talking about? I mean, they're wild and crazy, and I don't judge myself like pink psychedelic clouds behind a bear just because. And then I noticed that the people that are like, well, if you want to sell one, I'd really like to buy that one. And then they would open up that they had some form of abuse. Wow. I don't know why or how, because I didn't open it up. And then I would share mine and then share how it's my complex PTSD healing. And I just say it. It just is what it is. And I don't know if they sense. So my goal inadvertently when I paint is to create something beautiful from my pain. Like I can't change my pain, but I can paint something pretty. That I have control over that. Yeah. Strong, fierce, pretty. Yeah. And I don't know if people recognize that and they're not aware of it. If they just say this, because they're always hopeful. My paintings are hopeful. You can't.
I love seeing them. I mean, I follow, we'll make sure your Instagram handles near here. But
thank you. Yeah.
The brightness and the color. And I actually, at one point, I'm like, would she sell that to me? That's such a pretty painting.
Oh, I absolutely will, darling. Yeah. No. It brings me absolute joy. And the biggest thing is I don't judge myself and I don't get in my way. Because when you paint, you tend to judge yourself. Oh, you shouldn't do this. I will instead listen to my intuition and I'll be painting a bear and then the intuition will be like, oh, you should paint pink clouds with orange in the background. I'm like, yeah. And then your body gets in and it says, no, that's stupid. I was like, hell no, I'm doing it anyway. Yeah, so in a way, I think it was my way to be a child and just be free and just paint because I never got to experience just getting to be. So, and luckily, I've sold quite a few, and a lot of people I don't know if it's helping them, but they will open up and talk about their abuse. And I was like, well, you got this because I got it, so you can get through it too. So, yeah.
Any final words you want to share with those listening and watching this? Not that this will be the last time we talk, because I don't think it will. But any, like right now, what's coming through you that maybe you still want to say as we wrap up, Hosannah?
The best thing that I could say is I made a pact with God once I once I was finished with the first SBM course, and I started to have the suicidal thoughts, the pain, everything started to dissipate where I could start to function. And I said, I will do everything I can. I will not be ashamed or sad or feel bad about what happened to me. I will be bold and I will be strong and share that you can heal from something terrible. There is a way. Because when I was at my darkest points, and I saw a couple people that were brave enough to say, hey, I survived this terrible abuse and I made it. And I was like, okay, I can go to sleep tonight and I can wake up and try again in the morning. So if you're going through a really rough time, go to sleep tonight, wake up and try again in the morning, because you got this.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for listening. I'll link anything you need to know below here. And yeah, we'll be starting another round of SBSM real soon. So we'll see you in there, Hosannah, and everyone else who comes.